All right, so today we're diving into the story of Donald Trump, and what a story it is. We're talking about a journey that starts in Queens real estate, catapults into the boardroom of a massive hit reality show, and lands him in the White House. Not once, but twice. This is all about brand, it's about power, and it's definitely about perception. So let's get right into it. This quote really nails the central paradox, doesn't it? I mean, how does a person navigate these huge, very public business losses and still end up as one of the most powerful people on the planet? Well, the answer isn't as simple as just bouncing back. No, it's about something else entirely. It's about mastering the art of the brand.
Okay, so where did this all start? Before the presidency, before the TV fame that made him a household name, there was the brand. And that brand's foundation? Well, it was built, literally, brick by brick, right in the heart of New York City.
If you look at this timeline, you can see a really deliberate path taking shape, right? He's born into the real estate world, thanks to his father, Fred, but then he goes to military academy, which is said to have instilled a certain kind of discipline that you can kind of see echoes of in his political style later on. Then, after graduating from a top school like Wharton, he doesn't just, take a desk at the family business. No, he blows it up. He completely transforms it, shifting the focus from his dad's rentals in the outer boroughs to the super high-stakes, high-glamour game of Manhattan skyscrapers.
And this is absolutely key to understanding everything that follows. His goal was never just about building buildings. It was about building an image. He was a master at using bold marketing, getting the media's attention, and basically making the name Trump mean luxury and success. So get this, even when his casinos or other businesses were in serious financial trouble, even facing bankruptcy, the brand of Trump, that public idea of success, it stayed incredibly powerful.
But that brand we were just talking about, it was about to go to a whole new level. I mean, completely supernova. Because for millions and millions of people, their first real introduction to Donald Trump had nothing to do with real estate. It was as the ultimate boss on reality television.
Think about it. For more than a decade, you had The Apprentice and then Celebrity Apprentice beaming the super carefully crafted image right into living rooms week after week. The show was always set in his city, New York. It was always featuring his properties. The entire thing revolved around this persona of him as an absolute business genius. It was, when you look back, the ultimate product placement, not for a product, but for the Trump brand itself.
And this is where he gets really interesting. As AP News pointed out, this was never just entertainment, was it? The show put forward a very specific character, this powerful, super decisive leader, who was, well, never wrong. It cemented an image that turned out to be the perfect political audition, whether that was the plan all along or not.
Okay, but here's where the story really gets complex. Because while millions of viewers are seeing this infallible CEO on their screens every week, the reality behind the curtain was, wow, a lot different. During the show's absolute peak, his actual casino businesses were in deep trouble, facing major financial turmoil and even bankruptcy. That gap, that huge contrast between the TV story and the business reality, is such a crucial piece of this puzzle.
So that's the big question, right? How do you take a celebrity persona, one that was basically perfected on reality TV, and turn that into a winning presidential campaign? Well, that pivot, that's what changed everything.
And it was nothing short of a political earthquake. He tapped into this incredibly powerful feeling in the country with his Make America Great Again slogan and this whole America First platform. It just resonated with millions of people. His win in 2016 against Hillary Clinton absolutely stunned the political world. And his first term? It was defined by these really big, decisive, and often pretty controversial moves on everything from taxes to immigration. But as you can imagine, with the presidency comes a level of scrutiny that is just off the charts. All of a sudden, these past business deals, these charitable activities that maybe flew under the radar before, they were all being put under a massive legal and public microscope.
Yeah, and one of the biggest cases to bubble up was something called Trump University. Now, the sources are clear. This wasn't an actual, chartered university. It was a series of real estate seminars that promised to teach students his personal, hand-picked secrets to making it big.
And the numbers here are pretty staggering. We're talking about lawsuits alleging that people were defrauded out of more than $40 million. They thought they were buying this special, Trump-approved education, an inside track on real estate. But the lawsuits argued they just never got what they paid for. And the scrutiny didn't stop with Trump University. Nope, the spotlight also turned to his charitable work. Specifically, a foundation he started back in the late 80s, the Donald J. Trump Foundation, which was supposed to distribute money to charitable causes.
But an investigation by the New York Attorney General's office painted a very, very different picture.
They used the phrase, a shocking pattern of illegality. The claim was that he was using the foundation basically like his own personal checkbook, to do things like settle legal debts for his businesses and even to support his own political campaign. In the end, the foundation was dissolved by a court order and he had to pay $2 million in restitution.
But maybe the most explosive story of all came from a huge New York Times investigation into his tax returns, which he had kept private for years. And the headline finding was just a bombshell. In 2016, the same year he was elected president, he reportedly paid just $750 in federal income taxes.
And just to put that in perspective, the investigation revealed this incredible contrast. In the same period that he paid just $750 in federal income tax, he also reportedly took tax deductions for over $70,000 for hairstyling, for his television appearances. I mean, you can imagine. That specific contrast became a massive, massive talking point.
So you've got all these legal battles, all these controversies, and then a defeat in the 2020 election. You'd think that would be the end of the story, right? Well, the final chapter was definitely not written. What came next was a political comeback that, honestly, very few people saw coming. And there it is, in 2024, in what has to be called a truly historic comeback, Donald Trump won the presidency again. He defeated Vice President Kamala Harris, and in doing so became only the second president in the entire history of the United States to serve 2 non-consecutive terms.
So what does a second term look like? Well, from what our sources indicate, it's shaping up to be an even more aggressive version of his first. It's a doubling down on that America First policy. We're hearing about things like increased tariffs and a real push on foreign policy centered around big new investment deals, especially in the Middle East. So when you step back and look at this whole story, I mean, from Trump Tower to The Apprentice, from the White House to the courtroom, and then back to the White House again, it really leaves you with this one big question. What does this entire journey reveal about the way celebrity, business, and political power are all fused together now? It really makes you wonder if, in the 21st century, those lines haven't just blurred, maybe they've disappeared completely.